Dave, congratulations. We've known each other a long, long time. I want to ask this first question. What convinced you that you were the right man to be the All Blacks head coach?
I'm not sure. I guess I had to convince the panel that I was the right man. And look, I'm a proud Kiwi. I've coached a long time in New Zealand and went overseas for a number of reasons. And one of it was to get out of my comfort zone and learn. And so I think that's been really good for me. And so I think I'm in a spot now, in my early 60s, where I've got a fair bit of knowledge and I've gone into lots of different environments and been able to create change. And so looking forward to the opportunity here.
Run me through your thoughts on the process in terms of compared to other opportunities that you've had to try and interview through, and how tough was it to convince this panel you were the right man?
Yeah, I thought the process was excellent. I asked them to come to Japan, or also send a delegation to Japan because I've been away for 9 years, and so I guess anyone who knew me or had seen me coach wouldn't have seen me for a long time, and so I opened the doors so they could see it all, warts and all, and how we plan and how we prepare, and our trainings and so on. So Steve and Dane came up for a couple of days, and then we had a pretty full-on interview yesterday, which I didn't realise how long it had gone. Duncan had said to me, my agent, that we're going to catch up for dinner at 6, and I thought I'd duck back to the hotel and get changed, and looked at my watch and it was 5:30. So, but it was really good. It was a good conversation and good challenge, and it's been very thorough.
For those who don't know you, what type of coach are you?
I got asked that this morning, so I think I'm the type of guy who puts an arm around someone while I'm digging them in the ribs. I care and I want to help people, but I also want to be demanding to get the best out of them and help them. So, I think that probably describes my style best.
So, what are your impressions then of the All Blacks in recent years?
Oh, look, it's a tough world now. It's a tough global competition. I think there's been massive strides made up north, and I think we take for granted that all the innovation and everything comes from New Zealand, and it's not the case. And so I think we've got to respect what's been happening out there, and we've got to learn from it. There's a lot of players left, obviously. There's a lot of experience left after the 23 World Cup, and some of that's not easy to replace. It takes a little bit of time. So, but we've still got plenty of good players here, and so hopefully the group that I have, we can provide detail and provide clarity and put that into performance on the park.
What does better look like then for you in terms of the All Blacks?
Look, I think I mentioned in the press conference, I don't want to go into massive detail because I end up throwing someone under the bus, and that's not fair. But I've watched a lot of the All Black footy through this process, and I cut 100 clips type of thing to give me a real clear understanding of shifts we can make in it. And it's I think we need to be brilliant at basics, and so that's got a lot of time put into the simple parts of our game, our footwork through contact, the ability to create one-on-one situations where we get better gain line and faster ball, and the quality of our catch pass and our decision making, and the consistency around our lines and detail. And I think if we can raise the bar in lots of areas, make a difference. And so that'll be a focus for us.
So what's important you achieve quickly in the next, say, couple of months? Because maybe some uncertainty around management and coaching staff. How will you go about that?
Yeah, look, I'd like to get the coaching group sorted quickly. I've made some suggestions to the board around people I'd like to bring in who I think can make a difference. They obviously want me to talk to the incumbents as well, and so we want to do that quickly, and because once we're sorted, then we can start ripping into things. The guys who are based here, we want to start driving connection, and I want them to come up to Japan so we can get a lot of planning done, just around our game model, all the detail, and I'll come back here every 4 weeks when we've got a buy to try and build on that, but also get around the franchises and connect. So, we don't have access to the players at this time normally anyway. But, yeah, look, I think there'll be a lot of nervous people out there as well. And so, ideally I'd be here and be a lot more visible. But, I'm committed to Kobe and, obviously this is the end of my 3-year term, but I can double up. I've done it a lot of times before, and every spare hour, we'll be dedicated towards the All Blacks.
There's still some pretty critical vacancies that haven't been filled here in New Zealand rugby, so some, I suppose, IPs left the building. When you look at that, preparing for the future, and the beast that we assume is the All Blacks, different to coaching Australia, different to coaching in Japan, how do you prepare yourself for that? Who's going to help you along that journey?
Yeah, I mean, these are questions I asked too around, who's going to be the boss? Because there's some high performance roles and things to sort through. I mean, it is what it is in regard to the timing. I was keen to get in and I'll get things moving. So we'll work through that process. Obviously, Steve and David will be key contacts for me at the moment. And yes, I think it's really important to have strong relationships with them. They've ensured they're going to offer as much support as they can to make the transition easy. And the key thing is, we just got to get the right people on the bus, and then we start ripping in.
So does that include possibly bringing back some players back to New Zealand who have headed offshore? If you can.
Yeah, look, I think it's a case-by-case situation, but, if you look at Africa, just about all their players play overseas. Argentina are the same. Aussie will grab a few from here. Scotland can grab from anywhere, and they're a very good side. And so, I think there'll be players who earned the right to go overseas and cash in, who have committed to the country with a Super Rugby and to the All Blacks. And so obviously a lot of people keep talking about Brodie, and I don't know if I could talk him into coming back for a World Cup, but I've already mentioned it to him.
Anyone else on the radar?
Well, Richie's coming back regardless, so that'd be good. So there's 110, I think, former Super Rugby players who are playing overseas in big competitions, and a lot of those guys now have represented other countries or wouldn't tick a box to come back and represent the All Blacks. But there's a handful that do, and I'd be keen to have a discussion around that. I realise it'd be a big move for New Zealand rugby, but I don't see it being a mass exodus just because, you can pick a player from overseas that have to fit some sort of criteria. And someone like Brodie Retallick, who's played over 100 games for the Chiefs and over 100 for the All Blacks, I think 12 years in each of those competitions. He probably plays 80 minutes every week. He's earned the right to go overseas and cash in, and he's fitter than he's ever been. He's never been that strong in the gym. He'll forgive me for that, but he's stronger. I had Phil Healy, who is our head of performance, and he's worked with me for a lot of years, and the Chiefs in Glasgow and Kobe has made really big shifts around a lot of those boys. And so, he's in phenomenal form, Brodie. And, the leadership and the aura that he would bring would be massive.
I want to ask you about that. For you, how pivotal is your leadership group going to be in terms of driving this team forward?
Yeah, I think it's a huge area of focus. And I need to really get clarity on how they've been leading and what they've been driving in the environment and what opportunities they've been given to do that. I've got a bit of work to do, but certainly a focus area for us.
We're invested as fans. I'm a fan. I've got a job to do. What do you want to tell the New Zealand public about what they should expect from you and your All Black team?
I mean, what they should expect to see, we'll be really well organised. I want us to have real clarity, and that'll take a little bit of time, but, I'm clear on the type of game we want to play, the athlete we need to play that game, and the absolute detail within that. And so we'll be really driving that. I want to surround our players with quality people. We've got 15 months. It's going to be a sprint to a World Cup, and so having people who I think can create change and make a difference will be ideal, and I think we can do that.
And then your expectations and the message to the players who want to play for the All Blacks in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost an advantage, the fact that I'm coming from the outside, and we've still got some fantastic players here. I'm excited by that, and I want them to earn the right to wear the black jersey, and that'll mean performing well at Super Rugby. And if everyone's doing that, we're going to have a great comp and plenty of competition for spots.
Have you enjoyed day one?
It's been pretty full on. Yeah.
So how were you relaxed then? How do you sign off on your first day as All Black head coach?
I started this morning doing a lot of work for Kobe on my computer, send a few things out to the refs and so on. So, I'll reconnect with the family after this and share what the days look like, and probably have a quiet beer and get ready for a flight tomorrow morning.
Well done.
All right, Goldie.
Let's go.
Keen.